Welcome to XXLRC. Today we're going to be working on our ARRMA Infraction MEGA. That's the 1/8 scale version of the Infraction. I call it the Baby Infraction. It's a little bit smaller than the original. I bought this truck probably a year ago. I did do an unboxing and speed run on it initially as it came out of the box. Pretty fun little truck, but the top speed leaves a lot to be desired. So when I bought it, I had the intentions of upgrading it to a brushless system. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to flip the camera around, take a look at the truck as it sits, and then we'll start tearing into it and upgrade that system. Here's our ARRMA Infraction MEGA in its stock configuration. We'll just pop the body off here. As you can see, 9-turn brushed motor, brush speed control, and we are going to be installing a Castle Creation Sidewinder 3 with the 4600 kV 1406 brushless motor. To get started, we're just going to remove this brushed speed controller. There's a couple 2mm bolts. Pull that ESC wire out of the receiver there. So far, so good. Pretty easy. So that's out of the way. Next thing, we're going to take this motor. I'm pretty sure, I haven't taken this thing apart yet, but from what I have read and seen online, pretty easy. Looks like there's a 2.5mm hex head screw on the bottom here. Now that screw right there kind of just holds this whole assembly in here. So before you can get this out, you got to take this drive shaft out, and you can see right here it kind of slides together. So you just pull that drive shaft like that, and then it just pulls off the front. That's the whole drive shaft. This red piece will slide that way, and then this whole assembly with the motor and the transmission will slide that way. It's a little tough, especially if you've been running it. The dirt and stuff gets in there, but it does come out, I promise. See, that just slides that way, and then this will slide this way. This tab kind of locks it in there, so you got to pull up on that tab and pull the motor forward. Comes out just like that. Easy. As you can see, there is a lot of dirt in there, so I'm going to clean all that up before we reinstall everything. So I'm going to set this out of the way for now. Then we can get to work on this. So we got to open this up. There's 3 screws there. I think they're 2.5s. Yep, they are. This comes right apart. There's our pinion. And then we've got 2 more bolts right here for the motor. I think those are 2.5s as well. Yep. Set those little guys off to the side. Pull that out. Leave that as is. We're going to reuse the stock gearing for now. I want to run it with the stock Pinion and Spur and see what kind of speed we get out of it. But I have a suspicion that I'm going to want to upgrade this gearing, probably to something like the Vendetta runs. I think that's a, this one is a 15 tooth, and I think that's a 55 tooth Spur. The Vendetta runs a 20 Pinion and 50 Spur, and then they also, when you get the Vendetta, you get the high speed gearing, which is a 26 tooth Pinion and 50 tooth Spur. I'm going to pop this off. I'm not sure. These are usually pretty tiny. Let's see. Maybe it's a 2. Oh yeah, it's a 2. That comes right off of there. Toss that off to the side. Maybe we'll do something with it. I'm not sure, really. We'll get our Sidewinder combo out of the box here. Here's our Sidewinder 3 speed control. No fan on this. I think they do make a fan that clips on. Maybe I'll get one later. Looks like we are going to have to solder some ends on there. This box, we got our motor. Holy cow, those wires are long. Wow. Look at that little motor. I think these are more geared for like crawlers, but it should be just fine in this application too. This is the sensor wire. We're not going to need that. And then there's a little bag of screws to mount the motor on the plate. So let's see how this thing is going to mount up. Yeah, should be just fine. There are multiple holes, so whichever way makes sense for the wiring. On with the length of these wires, I don't think it's really going to matter which direction I put them in, but maybe I'll bring the car over here just so we can see which way we want it. This is going to go like this. I'm not going to slide it all the way in there. I just want to kind of mock up where what orientation I want the wires. Probably something like this. I think I'll use this top hole and that bottom hole. Set her in there like that. That should be pretty good. When you go to put the pinion gear on the motor, you'll notice this shaft has like a D shape to it. So you want to line up the set screw with that flat spot on the motor shaft. I know I've mentioned this before in videos, but this is how I've always set mesh. I just get a piece of paper, just regular printer paper, just rip off a little strip, put it between the gears, pinch that in there, tighten down the screws. That's it. Always had good luck running it like this. Just a teeny tiny bit of movement is what you want, and that piece of paper pretty much makes a perfect gap. Let's put this back cover back on, shall we? I did decide to use my power tool. I don't usually use power tools to put screws back in, but I'm gonna on this just get them most of the way in since they're kind of long, and then I'll finish them up with the screwdriver. Now the reason I do that, you know, they're longer, so it's just easier to use the electric, but don't crank them all the way down with the electric, because this is just plastic. These are metal screws going into plastic, and it'd be real easy to strip those out. So I just like to finish them up with a hand tool. That way I can feel when it's tight. That's ready to slide back in there. So on these, there's these two little channels right here and here. They line up here and here. And then this tab up here kind of locks it all in. It's a little tight, and you kind of have to mess with the where that shaft connects on the back, because it is keyed. So you may have to rock it back and forth a little bit to get everything lined up. There we go. Woo! That's a satisfying click. So then we'll slide our lock back in place here. That's all locked in. And then we can put our screw back in the bottom of the chassis there. Perfect. There's our new brushless motor. Before I forget, we'll put this drive shaft back in. Same thing, the end of it is keyed. Just kind of line up the front, pull that back, line up the back, slide it in. Next step, I gotta solder an end on this. I'm gonna use an XT60 end, solder it on there real quick. Then we'll get our ESC installed, get this thing buttoned up, take it out for a rip. All soldered up. Got that XT60 on there. Nice and clean. I like these because they have this little extra cap on them. Nice, clean install. I like it. Alright, I'm going to shut this thing off, let it cool down, and then we'll bring the truck back over. Put our cover back on. Oh, actually, that was almost a mistake. We got to plug in this ESC wire to the receiver. Okay, now we'll just coil up our wire in here. We'll stick our cover back on, put our screws back in. We can figure out where we want to mount this ESC. I think we're just going to stick it back on the top like it was. We're just going to use some 3M double-sided tape. I've been using this stuff for years. Works really well. So I'm just going to put it down on top of our receiver box. And we'll just cut it to size, press it down real good. Gotta peel this backing off. Sometimes it's a little tough, so I just use the knife to get it started. Pull it back. Get our ESC lined up how we want it. Press it down. Perfect. See? Pick the car up by that thing. It's mounted down. Now we just gotta get our motor wires run. We're gonna use this little tab here. Run them out this way a little bit. And actually, I made fun of how long they were earlier, but this kind of works out good. It kind of, you can loop it up and keep everything tidy and out of the way. This is a censored motor. You'll see A, B, and C. If you were running this with a censored ESC, it would be labeled A, B, and C, but since this is sensorless, it doesn't matter. The only thing you might run into is that the motor would run backwards, and in that case you would just switch 2 of the 3, and then it would run the other way. But for sensorless, there's no specific order for these. So I think what I'm gonna do, just whichever one's longest, we'll go here. These are just bullet connectors. They just kind of press down in there. I've got a battery charged up and ready to go. What we're going to run is this Electron Pro 3-cell, 5200 milliamp hour, 50C battery. It fits pretty good in here. It's got a little bit of room to move. I do have a bigger battery. I've got this Huvo. These are like the Amazon specials, but I've ran this in my Felony and they work great. And it actually fits really well in there. The only problem is it has a EC5 connector on it, so I'd have to get an adapter to run it with this. This one's already got an XT60 on it, so it'll work just perfect with the connector that I soldered on there. Before we can run it, we need to calibrate the ESC. So how you do that is plug in a battery, got your transmitter on, you're gonna hold full throttle, power on the ESC, then you go full reverse, then you go back to center. That's it. So I know that was a little quick, but it is a quick sequence. You got to listen to the beeps and watch the LED on there. So you do full throttle, it flashes green, then you go full reverse, it flashes red, and then when it flashes orange, you put it back in neutral. But yeah, we got... Oh, you know what? Remember I said the motor might run backwards? Well, look, I'm going reverse, tires are going forward. I go forward, they're going in reverse. So we can either flip it, I think, yeah, actually you can just flip this switch here on the transmitter. And now they're going forward, reverse. Whew, that thing sounds powerful. Wow. Okay. Yeah. They make, there's a little mount right there. They make a mount for this that has a bearing that goes over the drive shaft. Because I don't know if you saw it, but when I went full throttle, that drive shaft was flopping around. So I think I'm going to get one of those before we try to do a speed run, because that is kind of terrifying. So I'm going to run to the hobby shop, grab that part, and then we'll put that in real quick before we go out. Back from the hobby shop, I picked up this part. It's the center drive shaft high speed support set. It is part number AR310878 from ARRMA. You can see there's a little plastic piece in there, a bearing, an O-ring, and a screw, and it just goes in there. I'm not 100% sure how it goes, but we're about to find out. Yeah, I do like how easy that is to come out. Referring to the instructions, we put it on from this end. Slides right over there. It's kind of hard. I almost put it on this side, but it actually goes on this side. And then you follow up with the O-ring. I think that just kind of keeps it so it doesn't come off of there. Okay, and then it looks like this goes in the third hole from the back. Not counting this half one. 1, 2, 3. Pop that in there, and then there's just a little set screw that kind of expands that so it sticks in there. It's almost like a drywall anchor type thing. Slide our drive shaft in the front, and we kind of got to be a little tricky here. Get this lined up. Perfect. Look at that, beautiful. So now that's nice and secure in that little mount. All right, here we go. First run on the upgraded system. We're gonna get our GNSS up here. The track, start. Okay, it's working. Let's do this. Do a quick little speed run. That wasn't even opened up. Whew. She's wild. Alright, I'm gonna sit over here. Okay, that was wide open. Bring her back. Yeah, she's a beast. Alright, stop. Read 42. Dang, that's a heck of an increase. From 22 to 42. We're running 3-cell on that 4600 kV motor with the Sidewinder 3. I'm gonna do 2 more down and back, and we'll see how that goes. Track, start. Yep, we're good. Pretty stable. Stop, read. Yep, 42. I want to see what our temperature is here. 120 on the motor, 110 on the speed control, batteries, ambient air temperature, so pretty good. But when I went to the hobby shop earlier to get this, I went ahead and got the high-speed gearing that they run in the Vendetta, and I also picked up the metal motor plate. So I'm going to install that stuff, and then we're really going to see what this thing's got. So back to the bench, we'll get a tour down, get the new parts in, and then we'll go for another run. I kind of knew I'd want this thing to go faster. I mean, we always do, right? So I picked up this aluminum motor mount set. This is ARRMA part ARA311106. It just has a metal plate rather than plastic. The next thing that I got was the 50-tooth spur, ARRMA part ARA311103. That's going to replace the spur that's in there. And then I also picked up a bigger pinion gear. This is a 26-tooth pinion, ARRMA part AR310877. And being that this is a 5mm bore, and the shaft on this motor is 3mm. I also got this Robinson Racing sleeve adapter, so it'll slide inside of this and then fit the motor shaft. And last but not least, I don't know if this was really necessary, but I thought it would be cool to upgrade the tires. So I got the Dboots Hoons. That's ARRMA part ARA550095. So we can really make this thing look like the bigger brother Infraction. I don't know if you guys have seen this on other RC YouTube channels, but I saw it where, I don't know, some kind of magic with the parts. Like, I've seen the guys, they just, like, they'll throw the parts at the car, and then they cut to the next scene, and everything is installed. It's like magic. I'm gonna give that a go, see how it works, because, I mean, that would save me a lot of time, really, to be honest. So, I don't know if there's a special way that you do it, but we're just going to go for it. 1, 2, 3. Well, what the heck? That didn't work at all. All the parts are still... Well, maybe I'm just not doing it right. Let me just... You know what I did notice? The guys that do that have a lot of subscribers. I don't have a lot. So maybe that's the key. Another thing that I noticed over the last 28 days, over 90% of my views come from people who aren't subscribed. So maybe you guys can help me out with this. I think that there's like a button down here somewhere. Maybe if you just point to it or tap it, I'll see it. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that works. So maybe in the future, I'll be able to install those the way the other guys do. But for now, I guess we got to go to the old-fashioned way. So roll the time lapse. New location. We got this new industrial area that was just built. There's not a lot of tenants back here, and we're not operating on a road where we run the risk of traffic and things like that. We're gonna take this thing for a rip. I'm really hoping to get close to 70 on this thing. I don't know, haven't run yet, so we're about to find out. Truck's ready to go. Just gonna fire up the GNSS, track, start. Yes, it's working. All right, cool. We are good to go. First speed run with the high-speed gearing on the Baby Infraction. Here we go. Ran right into this curb. It did a couple rolls in the air, landed on its wheels. Oh, you know what? It is moving. It wasn't moving at first. Oh, there's my GPS. All right, I'm gonna take the thing back to the truck and just see, you know, what the damage is here. Let's see what we did on that first interesting run. Stop, read, 53. So 53 miles an hour into that curb over there. Let's see what the damage is. Not too bad considering. Oh, maybe that double-sided tape doesn't work as well as I thought. What can you expect with a hit like that? Stick that back down. Good. Doesn't really look like there's anything broken. All right, well, we'll load everything back up and go for another run. Yeah, everything looks okay. Whew. That was crazy. Gotta watch out for those curbs. Stop, read, 53 again. Huh. I was hoping to get a little more out of it. Now this thing keeps shutting down on me. I think it's getting too hot. I can feel the heat. I didn't bring my temp gun with me. Rookie mistake. So I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. For now, I guess best we can do is 53. We're going to keep striving for that goal of 70. I know this thing can do it. I just gotta find the right setup. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you enjoyed that video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. I'll see you guys in the next video.